Welcome back to another edition of the B4evaKool Podcast. My name is Rex45, and this afternoon we have Spicy on the show. Welcome to the show. How you doing this afternoon?
Hello, I'm doing good. Tired, but I'm here.
I think that's a part of the course when you're in into motorcycles. You get a little tired from traveling and moving bikes around and all that fun stuff.
And
Uh,
working with motorcycles as well.
and work with motorcycles. Okay, so we're gonna find all that out. So how did you get into riding? What was your first moment? For some of the folks that have been on the show already,
Uh,
their parents might have gotten them into it when they were really young. Other folks, later in life, over 40 and stuff like that. So, what was it? What was it for you?
I wish I got into it when I was a kid, but didn't have that childhood, unfortunately. But I got into it because I was depressed.
Okay.
Yes, and it was like in the time of like when I moved to the States, and it was adaptation period.
Got you.
And I don't have any background in the motorcycles before I moved to the States. So it's been like 11 years since I've been riding so far. And
Okay.
yeah, so I was depressed. Hmm.
Wow. And so, I mean, okay, so you were depressed. I know a little bit about that lifestyle. Was it someone, a professional that says, hey, maybe you should take up riding? Because, I think, they may suggest a lot of other things besides
Yeah,
going to learn a
sure.
motorcycle.
So I
Um,
decided I decided to stay away from the drugs and like from all that, the good stuff, I guess. And
got you.
no, it was kind of I was into cars and I was kind of like a hooligan and like reckless driver beforehand and also young and driving emotionally and kind of like I guess trying to figure out like once you move to a different state and you don't know anybody, you don't know the language and everything. So I kind of needed um, I guess something to kind of help me channel my negative, energy and like, all the challenges that I had from I lost two members of my family when I was in the same period of time. So I
Hmm.
kind of needed something to get out of this, I guess, like
A
bad,
space of mourning.
yeah, exactly, the mental state. And one time I was just driving a car and I saw two motorcycle riders and I was like, let's race. And I kind of got into like the conversation with them. And then I became a passenger first.
Yeah.
And the guy who was actually taking me as a passenger is not a really good rider. Now I know. And he didn't really tell me how to be a passenger. I was like sliding all over the place. I was like, what the hell? Like, is it supposed to feel like this? Like a
Right, right.
complete, shitty like feeling. And then I started asking him questions. I'm like, oh, can you teach me how to ride and can you show me? But he was not interested in teaching me. He was interested to date me. And I
Got
was like, not interested in that, my friend. But yeah,
right.
so he was kind of like refusive to teach me. So I was
Uh-huh.
like, you know what? I don't need you. I'm gonna go and like, just take some lessons. So I went to MSF and took the, 2-day course and I got my license right away. And because I had a stick shift experience, it kind of was easy for me.
Hmm.
I understood the concept and I was like, I'm Eastern European, so everybody learned in the stick shift cars. And it was kind of easy like to get into the motorcycle riding. So that's kind of like I got into it.
And so you got your license. I got my license a long time ago as well. My experience a little different.
You
Did
you
you?
had
When did
you
you?
had you had your friends to teach you or something or family?
Oh no, no, I did not. I was into BMX as a kid, and I
Hmm.
went to my mom, and I'm from Jamaica originally, even though it might not sound like it. I came to the U.S. as a kid, but I had asked my mom to get me a dirt bike, and she had no part of it. So I didn't learn how to ride until later. I mean, I knew how to ride bikes, and like you, I was into cars, and put engines in all type of cars and modify cars, and and done all that stuff. And then but I wanted to get into bikes. So I remember going to take my class, got my license, and bought a bike for like a month. and rode it for like a month and sold it. I had kids and so forth, so and I had to go back to school. So and then later in life, I finally made my decision to get back into riding and stuff like that. So I've been riding now since 2012 consistently, and so forth. So, but I had a good break, and so I got my license in 1998 to date myself a
Wow.
little bit. So it was a good 14 years of having a license and then not really riding. And now I have 6 bikes in the garage. Well, actually 4 right now. So
That's
yeah, so
awesome.
you got your license, and then did you decide to go out and get a bike? And
Yeah,
outside of the
it
guy
was
that
kind
wanted
of
to.
it was kind of like right away. So like I planned on buying a motorcycle right away. So basically, as I passed my test, same day, same night,
Hmm.
I decided to go to the Bronx and buy. That was my first ever purchase, like of like pre-owned bike. So like I found something, I don't know, Craigslist,
Hmm.
and I didn't have like a budget, like a big budget. So I had like very like small amount of money, and that was like the only thing that I could afford. It was like a Kawasaki Ninja 250. So I was like, and plus every guy that I've met is like, oh, don't buy a big bike. You don't need like, cause my first like I guess love of the first sight was like a Yamaha R1, and people are
Okay,
like, no, don't buy it as a first bike. Like it's gonna be a huge mistake.
gotcha.
Plus I didn't have a budget. So and I went to the Bronx. I picked it up from some kid, and I hired somebody to come with me. I've never met the person. I'm like, I have a cash in my
Yeah.
hand. It's 12 a.m.
Wow.
12 a.m. Going to the Bronx. I don't know where I'm going, what I'm doing. Just went to pick up the bike, but I was super happy. It was like the happiest moment, like so far, like in that time.
Yeah,
So
and in hindsight, it was a good thing to get a smaller bike to start out with, because
yeah,
and fortunately you had friends that were telling you that, because I see a lot of people, and I'm sure you do on social media, that tell people to go with you can start out on a 600, or you can start out on 1,000 and stuff like that. So it's nice that you had people around you to tell you start out on a smaller bike. 'Cause I started out on an 848 Ducati, when I started back in 2012, which was I should have started out on a smaller bike. It just
see,
took me a
so you
little
can
bit
travel.
long.
It's a very hypocritical, advice. Don't start
Well,
with a big
well,
bike. Like I started on 800cc, by the way.
no, and I'll finish in saying that now I have 2 RC 390s that I'm learning how to ride on. So, I started out the wrong way, because I had an accident and so forth, and I had to, and I learned, like, I changed my riding position and stuff. So I ended up just getting some smaller bikes just to learn, just to get my body position back and just carry corner speed and all that fun stuff. But I wish I would have started out on a smaller bike at first, because the amount of time it takes you to get, for me, I can't speak for anyone else. For me, it took me a lot longer to get comfortable on the bigger bikes. Where if I had a 250 or a 300, I believe I would have got up to speed a lot quicker.
I agree with you. I usually tell people like I have very stubborn students sometimes. They come we'll get there, but they basically like, oh, I want a Panigale V2, and I'm like, okay, but like do you know, like I understand. I try to like now not to like talk down to them. I'm trying to explain to them it's gonna take you longer to adapt to the bike and get better at riding as in, as supposed to like if you're gonna get something smaller, something that you're not going to be intimidated by, and you're just
Right.
gonna it's going to be just like more natural right away, and you could pick it up, and then you could always sell the bike and get something, once you're ready. It's not a big deal, but a lot of people are stubborn, so you can really, you know like at the end of the day they're still going to make their own decision.
Right, right. Yeah, you just can provide the information. So yeah, so you got the bike, you brought it home. Did you ride that night? Did you like say you got up early in the morning
Yes.
next day?
So the person that I hired, he was also, I guess, like a part-time mechanic, like on the side, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna bring it to my garage because you don't have a place to keep it, so I'm gonna like take a look at it, blah blah blah. And so the next day I came and I picked it up, and I kind of put my mom on the spot. I'm like, yeah, so I got the bike, and she's like, she didn't believe it. She was laughing at my face, and I was like, I'm actually pretty
Wow.
serious. I was like, I have it downstairs. And she's like, no. She's like, I was like, yeah, And thank God my dad was, in my country. So he was like really upset, but that's a
Okay.
different story.
Got you. So, mom was not happy that you got the bike.
Mom was just like, she didn't expect it. I was like, well, I kind of mentioned that before, but she's like, she didn't really pay attention when I mentioned it for
Right.
the first time. She's like,
Gotcha.
and I was like, I was pretty serious about it, but
Yeah. I'll ask a little later how they feel now about it. But like, okay, so you're riding the bike now after being a passenger for some rides. I don't know how long. And what's your experience like? What was it like? Because when you started riding, did you ride every day?
Oh yeah.
You know,
I was writing like every day, like nights, days, like you name it. Like I was just like so into it, and I was like, "Oh, I needed this." Like I feel like it was like like sometimes people are like, oh, I have like a adrenaline rush and like I need to go. I feel like at the moment also struggling with emotions and like losing of like the close ones, like
hmm
relatives and stuff. And I was like, I know if I would have stayed home, like I would just kind of like keep like, having the racing thoughts and everything else. So just, kind of not a good place for me mentally. So I needed to
right.
be outside. I needed to kind of like
Keep
see,
your heart rate
if
up.
exactly. And plus, like I didn't realize how the biker community is very like friendly and like so united, and like everybody's trying to support and everything. So I
Right.
kind of like was missing that again, being like away from the family, being away from a lot of friends. And it's just anywhere you go is like you meet people, especially being a woman also on the bike.
Yeah,
And
I have no idea what that's like.
yeah, I mean, sometimes the good attention, sometimes it could be bad attention, but in most
Right.
cases, like it would be like a funny, friendly, you know, attention, and that was kind of like very. Yeah, that's what I needed it in the moment, I guess.
Right. And I'll say this. I'll add to what you were saying about the motorcycle community. I felt the same way once I got into it. I didn't realize how cool it was, how everyone would help you. I race as well, and folks would give you their spare parts to go race next to you. It's a beautiful community, and I don't think that side of it gets highlighted as much as some of the other stuff we see out there. And
I
and it's the
agree.
same thing. So I definitely love being in it. And so at one point, did you decide to start going to the track? You say you're working in the community in as well. So like let's talk about after a year or two after the 250. What did you get yourself into?
So yeah, so the story about the 250. So I was planning to get a bigger bike, like a 600cc, also Kawasaki, but then we had the Sandy happened, and my bike got flooded,
Oh wow!
and I was like, well, good good reason to change it now. So it got flooded. I didn't have insurance on it, so I was like, you know it's messed up for me, I guess, my loss. But I was able to pull it out from like the basement, like it was like just under the water in the basement,
Right,
salt water, and we cleaned it up, we fixed it, and I sold the bike
gotcha.
after I fixed it.
Yep.
And I got a 636, the Kawasaki 636. I think it was like 2009, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. I picked it up from a big ass guy. He looked at me, he's like, are you sure you need this? And I was like, yeah. It was very funny. He was so scared of that bike. And I was like trying to doubt my own decisions, because he was so
Right.
scared of the bike. I was like, I think I can handle it, but it was like nerve wracking for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if he admitted it or you asked, and, at the time, maybe not, because you might not have been thinking that way. But again, people who buy bigger bikes for their first bike, some people get scared and then it just sits in the driveway or sits in the garage or
Well, no, I was,
somewhere.
I was, I was enjoying it. I was like, for the first, like in the first ride, as I picked it up, I was
Yeah.
riding the bike from the
No,
guy,
yeah,
and he was,
yeah.
and he was
I
looking at
meant
me.
I meant the guy that you bought it from, since he was scared.
He fell once. He fell once. He's like, no, I don't need this. And I was like, I
Yeah.
guess it's like it's the decision that people make, like something they're not comfortable with, and maybe they have anxiety and stuff. I don't think like you could fight the anxiety, especially because it's like it just makes everything else worse. If not, there's nobody
Right.
to help you and support
Yeah,
the.
exactly. And and like I said, I think if he was on a smaller bike, it probably would have been a little bit different because those 600s, once you wind them up,
But the guy was big. The guy was really big himself. He's like big, big. I remember that. But yeah, so I had the 636,
yep.
and I
And
went to the track with that for the first time
okay.
on that
A-
bike.
a- and so how did you get into the track life? And did you buy it specifically to go to the track, or it was just kind of
I
like you
I was
got it and then
oblivious. Yeah, I was oblivious. I was like in the mode of survival, and like I don't give a shit what's gonna happen with me. I was like mentally unstable at the time. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
lie. Like I was just, I don't know, maybe like all everything that I was working. I was trying to learn English. I was in college, and I was trying to survive to make a living
Right.
here. And on top of it, and bike helped me to commute, everywhere because I lived in Brooklyn. I worked in Long Island. I went to school in Manhattan.
Oh
So it was like
wow.
all over the place all the time. And it was like very convenient, being on a bike. And it was
Right.
like, that's the best thing happened to me. And um, the track just happened like by accident almost. Like somebody brought me to the track, like one of my friends at the time that we were riding together. They decided
Hmm.
to go, and they're like, just come with us. And I went with Team Promotion, I think that's the organization. It was a NGMP Lightning. That was my
Okay.
first ever track day. Do I remember anything from it? I do not remember anything.
Did you have full gear?
Yeah, I rented something, and kind of like everything was loose, and like at the time, so that was my biggest issue, was finding a proper fitting gear for me. Like
Right.
it's either pink, loose, like not like it's just basically, instead of having this proportion, it was like
Yeah.
this, and it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
made me like completely, like I was like almost like wearing something like, you know, three sizes bigger than me. So I was riding squid, like
Okay.
on the streets. I was bad. I was bad. Like I'm definitely not a good example. Heck, I was like younger days. I was completely like anti-safe. Like anything, like just basically do not look. And like I see people doing it right now, and I'm like, do not do this. And I was like, I've done this before. Do not do this.
Right, right.
Literally,
No, I feel the same way about that. I mean, I did it more in cars. Fortunately for me, I got into bikes older. So I got it, and the people around, they were already going to the track. So I got into gear and all that stuff. But when I was younger, I did all the foolishness stuff as well.
same.
So now you got to the track, and did you continue to go to the track after that, or was it more like just you
It
got back on the
wasn't.
streets?
It was inconsistent. So I went to that track, and then after that, I think maybe a year after, we went to NYC with the same group of people. I believe, and I was so cocky and oblivious, and I was like, oh my god, like I'm looking at it right now, like at myself, I was like, oh my god, I'm like, I just can't stand myself. But it was like that's kind of how you learn your own mistakes and your
Right.
attitude towards it. So I didn't take it seriously. I did not respect the sport, and yeah, it was very childish. But again, it just has a lot to do with my mental state, and I feel like I was just kind of like trying to, kind of like survive, and
Right.
not like care
Yeah.
too much about the stuff that I should have cared. Plus, I didn't have like a good guidance or like the support. I feel that's also kind of related to my decision making.
Yeah.
Um, but NYC, like I think that was the after that, I just kept going to NYC, but it also was inconsistent.
Got you. Yeah, no, it's always when you're younger, it's always you got all these things that you have to deal with, all this trauma that you have to deal with, and whether through just all different walks of life, whether through family issues or just meeting other people and stuff like that, and you always feel like you just want to kick rocks or flip something over. So the throttle is a good
Yeah.
alleviator for that, because you can at least lose yourself in the moment when you're on the bike. And I find on a bike, like no matter how my day is, I go for a ride and I automatically feel better. that kind of thing. So when did you start to take it seriously to say, because now you teach and stuff like that, and you're doing a track day, which we're going to talk a little bit about, or have been doing track days. So like, what was the catalyst for you to say, all right,
I think I started taking it a little bit more serious after my falls. So, like when it hurts, you're like, okay, maybe something was wrong. It was not somebody else's fault, it was my own fault. But I think like the first fall, I'm trying to remember like the timing. I had an accident on the street on my R1. So no, that was not. Yeah, so I think it kind of happened in the same timeline. So I had the accident on the street going through, filtering through the traffic. I was exhausted. I was dehydrated, tired, and I was trying to get home as fast as I can, filtering through the traffic. And I already I was asking for the trouble. So I had my first accident. Somebody cut me off. Well, I don't know. It was kind of like very quick. So my first reaction was like, oh shit. I grabbed the front brake with the full
Mm-hmm.
force of my hand. Did
Mm-hmm.
an undo, didn't have
Mm-hmm.
ABS. And I'm not like trying to say ABS would have saved me. No, nothing at that point would have saved me.
Mm-hmm.
But basically went up on one wheel, the bike went down and started spinning, and I started spinning with the bike. Had a slight concussion, and I lost maybe I think like I was out for like few minutes, and
Mm-hmm.
woke up for the first time, and then I was like, about my bike. I was all trying to, pick up my bike like right away. And then people stopped, pulled over, and I created the traffic, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the bike didn't even touch the car. It was in front of me, but I was trying to understand what happened, because I kind of like didn't understand like what the hell happened like in the moment. So that was kind of like a wake up call. So I was like, okay, gear all the time. And at the time, for some reason, I was wearing like the Alpine Star, like a mesh protection, kind of like
Mm-hmm. Like the elbow to shoulder parts in the back and
exactly.
stuff. Yep,
Yeah, so
yep.
I was wearing that thing, and plus I had like a backpack with me, and it really saved my skin.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, holy shit, it does work. So that was kind of like a wake up moment. I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I should wear gear. And
Yeah.
from there, like somebody went to like eventually, because my bike was kind of totaled. I went to the track I think I went to the track before that. So I also had an accident at the track. Not an accident. I fell on the turn 18, the
Mm-hmm.
NYST, and broke one rib.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so I couldn't breathe, and I was like, oh my god, like I just couldn't breathe. They took me to the hospital, and that happened I think right before this or something. It was the same bike. I remember, I think it was the same bike. And I started like thinking, okay, like I should probably take it a little bit more serious, and then my friends started like blaming me and blaming motorcycles, like, oh, you deserve it because you knew what you're getting into, like.
Oh
And
wow.
I'm
Okay.
like, you know what? I don't need friends like this.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I really like kind of like decided to not to see the situations as like it was not my fault. Just kind of like self assess, I guess, and looking at
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, like what did I do wrong that I could have prevented it. And so I started, taking it a little bit more serious. Like I used to avoid turn 18 at NYC, because like I'm like, do not pass me on the turn 18, because like,
Gotcha.
it's
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
not my
Yeah.
favorite, turn. But then I started working, and trying to make the turn better, and like the line and everything else. But I was oblivious. I was going to the track, didn't know that I had to learn the line. My body position was shit, because I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
what is like, or what it's supposed to be. And then trail braking, like I didn't have the proper information, like just didn't have it. So now I'm trying to fix all the gaps, the missing gaps for the people that I
Right.
bring to the track. So I'm like, okay, people have to know like what to do with the track ahead of time, like, what they have to focus on, and like things like that. And in terms of like, learning the proper way, but not like learning by making mistakes, because you can avoid that.
Right.
So that's kind of like my mindset right now. So I'm like, I wish I had some guidance, somebody like to mentor me. That would
Mm-hmm.
have saved me. But at the same time, I'm like, I guess I needed those mistakes to happen to kind of like to have, that aha moment.
Right. Yeah. And I'll say, I've had about 8 crashes myself and spent 9
Yay.
days in the hospital and
That's crazy.
missing parts and stuff. So, I think falling can be part of it, especially if you're active in the sense of, racing or, riding on the street a little bit more aggressive. Chances are, something can happen and stuff like that. So now, did you do any additional training to start getting yourself together, or is it just mostly more track days, or you just
More
found
track days.
more friends that know a little bit more about track riding?
Yeah, so it's mostly like my I guess the people who surrounded me. But I kind of you did go to the track more consistently, and I started like asking the right questions and finding people that could help me explain some information. The NYC coaches like at the time were a good source for that. And then
Right.
I went to NGMP. Is one of my actually now is my husband. He brought me to NGMP for the first time to Thunderbolt, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know that track, but I've been riding for like some time now, so I kind of had an idea what to look for. So I asked, like, I grabbed one of the coaches that was recommended to me to show me the line. I asked him to show me the line, and he's like, "What are you doing on this bike? This bike is too big for you." And I'm like, I'm not asking what bike I'm using for the track. This is the only bike I have. And he's
Right.
like, "Well, you need the 300cc." And I'm like, again, I'm not asking you which bike I need. I'm like, this
Right.
is what I
Right.
have. And he
Right.
like kept
Right.
going and going. He made me so upset. Like I was literally crying.
Oh wow.
I'm like, I ask you like to help me to show me the line. I've never been to the track before even seeing me how I ride, because I was
Right.
riding okay at that moment. I was not like a complete novice, and I was not like a novice.
Right.
So, and at that moment, I already knew how to use the body position and other things and what to look for. And without even giving me a chance, he just started like going off about like me being on the wrong bike. And I was like, okay, so it really made me upset. And then I asked now he's my husband, to show me the line. We did like few laps together, and then after that it was good. And then that coach, after like few laps, he saw me riding. He's like, "Oh, you know how to ride." And I'm like, "Thanks."
Right. Yeah. That's the one. I mean, we can't alleviate folks like that from all everywhere. But just I find it weird that people make assumptions without asking. If he was, it could have just literally just asked you how long you've been riding, and he would have had a
What's the
better idea.
experience? Yeah.
Yeah, just to not tell you what kind of bike you should be riding as a newbie, and he's maybe thinking you're a newbie, and where you
Plus,
have
I'm a
experience.
woman. I'm a woman, so it's
Yeah.
already stereotype.
No, I honestly I've gotten that too. I've joined some groups and stuff and post, and I don't really tell people what I have or anything. And there were people were making assumptions on me, and it was just kind of like, it was just like, well, I've been racing since 2013, and I got a lot of other suits, I got a lot of stuff. So I think there are people that just makes they make assumptions, and
They just
some.
judge by the looks, or like by the they don't have information. They make their own. I don't know. I
They're
guess
to make a good point, because they're really making an ass of themselves, and they don't realize it. And
exactly.
it's not good for the community, because you don't want to engage in groups and stuff like that if people are not making you feel good, right? And when you're contributing, right? Because when you contribute to all these platforms, it actually helps out, in a positive way, I hope, and stuff like that. So I think, and I got to imagine it is harder being a woman out there at the track as well. I assume it's gotten better over the years, but I'm pretty sure there's definitely some people that still
Yeah.
think a
There's
different way.
there's more women in the sport, and it's like I think now it's a lot better than it used to be, but still you have to kind of prove yourself.
Right.
And I bring my girls to the track, and I'm like so proud, like I'm proud mama. And then all the guys is like online to kind of help out and coach them. It's like it's been different, to me. For me it was a lot different, but like for them, I'm just enjoying like entertainment.
Well, I will say this. Luis Ortega from Dainese said the one thing that women get wrong is when they start listening to guys for advice. so, so just be careful of who you get the advice from, which guy.
Exactly.
Make sure they teach at a school or you know what I mean, or something, because you just
I
never know,
agree.
and there's a lot of bad information out there. So okay, so now you're riding, you're going to the track, you're getting better and stuff like that, and now have decided to be part of the industry, and you're teaching people how to ride, and you're doing track days and stuff like that. And as you mentioned, you work in the field as well. So let's catch people up on that. And how did you started working in the field, and how did all that come through?
So yeah, so I was finance major, so I got my bachelor's in finance at Baruch, and I graduated. I decided to do like the corporate, world, and I was miserable. I hated it, like every second of it. Like it was toxic. Like the atmosphere was like bad, and I was like, no, I was miserable, stressed out, miserable. It's like it's not worth the money that you make. And and I was like always crying to my friend. I'm like, I just want to open my motorcycle school, like I just want to help people. I really wanted to help people to feeling I guess the gap. Like let's say MSF was a good school. It's still a good, good school for people to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to kind of like be better and focus on individual training, like one on one only. So focusing on the individual challenges that every single person, it's very different. So every person is different. So
Right.
I just wanted to kind of help, kind of fulfill that and support, like one on one only training. And yeah, so I was kind of like, I guess, whining to my friend all the time. He's like, "What did you do to even try to start it?" And I kept going like that for like, I don't know, maybe a year. And I'm like, I'm really like not even looking, like doing not no research, or just, looked at the MSF. I was trying to maybe become an MSF instructor.
Mm-hmm.
I was considering to do that. But then I was like, I don't know, I was not really taking it seriously to become an instructor with them.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, some sort of event happened in my life where I lost my job, I lost a relationship, I lost a roof under my head, and it just
Wow.
happened all at the same time. And I was like, okay, well, now I have nothing to lose, nothing to whine about. Like I was devastated. And my friend was like, okay, now you have no reasons and no excuses now to start anything.
Right.
And then I decided to before I started the school, I decided to go do what I wanted to do, learn how to do the tricks on the bike, like
Okay.
wheelies and stuff. So I went to Ukraine, and I went to like some school in Ukraine. I was training for that, got
Wow.
really good at, wheelies in the beginning.
Uh-huh.
And then I went to shit when I crashed because I got cocky again, It
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
takes like a one fall to kind of. It was really dangerous because I was falling, I was falling left and right because you kind of like learn how to fall first.
Right,
And
right.
I was lucky for like a good amount of times. I was really lucky, even though I was getting injured, but it was like whole my body was bruised, like
Right,
it was
right.
really it was really fun. And then I fell and I broke my left foot. So I was like, okay, I guess, I'm kind of done. So now I was with a broken foot, still training, but using the wheelie machine, whatever
Yep, yep.
the
Yeah.
trainer, with the cast on, and it was still fun, a lot of anxieties and stuff. So now I had to go back to the States and do the surgery on my left
Okay.
foot. So in that process, my husband, now who's my husband, Alex, just basically recovered from his injury on the same foot, on the left foot, also from motorcycles. And he basically met me at the airport with the crutches. He gave me his crutches.
Oh wow.
That's
That's
how we
pretty
kind of
dope.
got closer. He was taking care of me, like, brought me to his surgeon. So I had the surgery with his surgeon. It was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
and he was like really supporting, like, holding my hand and everything through the recovery. And that's kind of, we kind of, I guess, got
yeah.
together through the same
Right, right.
injury.
Gotcha.
And I needed somebody, so I'm sorry to interrupt you. So I needed somebody to kind of like, I guess, psychologically to like push me not to be by myself, to start the business by myself.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
Alex helped me to open, the business together. So we kind of started it together. I
Gotcha.
was kind of trying to convince him to do it because he's not that type of like he doesn't have that spirit to kind of like have, like he had a lot of fears. I
Hmm.
was like, like the worst thing that can happen is like, we're just gonna try and we're just not gonna, go well. That's it.
That's it.
But yeah.
That's usually happen. Yeah, no, it takes a little while to get to a place where you just take a leap of faith, and because you talk about anxiety, there's a lot of that, and I've talked myself out of a lot of things, and so it took me a while to get up to kind of take a leap of faith and stuff like that. So I get that's what that's like. So let me ask, like, you were in the Ukraine riding and training. What is it like? What is the motorcycle community like there? And did you, outside of wheeling and stuff like that, did you learn other things?
No, honestly, I was just focusing on that, like strictly on that. I paid the guy to just train with me like every day. I was training every day with him,
Wow.
and it was very. I also, I guess, picked up a lot of like things from him, how he trained and how he looked at it and why he did it. And I was like, wow, like I could see, like, um, it's like it's just a completely different, like it's not what I expected because he was like a good instructor.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt very supported and kind of like not nervous. And he made me feel like, okay, like, it's not that it's scary, but it's not that scary. So he made it feel like very comfortable. So I was like, okay, like that's how it should feel. Now I felt like, how the proper training should feel like, even for the track. If,
Right.
if
Right.
I've had that initially, like I feel like I would have been on a different level even now.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I want to be just like that. I want to help people. I want to make sure they actually get the result they're looking for. Just to kind of save them the bad experiences.
Oh yeah, no, I think that is kind of one of the reasons why I'm doing this show as well, because there wasn't, I didn't, until my buddy was told me, like, you can go to the track and ride and race and stuff like that. I had no idea. I saw motorcycle racing on television as a kid and stuff like that, but I just never made the connection that I could just go to a track day, and stuff. And there's all the preparation that it takes to go, because I was like all of us, we're kind of green when we first go and stuff like that, unless you went with somebody who's been doing it for a long time. So there's a lot of things I had to, the first few years was just learning and like even just packing and what you need to bring, and getting there soon enough so you get your rest and you get a good spot, all these things that I used to show up like the morning of and set up my tent and then go to sleep because I was just too tired from driving. So yeah, so it's definitely helpful, having more information about learning how to ride and being able to ride. So what is the name of the school, and how does it work as far as people want to sign up and stuff like that? And
So it's L to Ride 2 LLC. So basically L two number ride and two number at the end. Yeah, so usually people sign up to the website. In a way, like a lot of people assume because I have a big following on Instagram, that's how I get my clients. But no, it's actually, people find me on Google and or from the referrals because I don't really advertise my school like that. And
mhm,
people that follow me on Instagram or like any social media, they already know how to ride. So that's not my clientele. So
right,
it's just like, Google people just, Googling like motorcycle lessons or road test or getting the license. And I teach basically beginner courses, refreshers, somebody just to kind of like, um, refresh the memory and kind of get back into it.
right.
Beginner riders with zero experience, even no bicycle experience as well.
Wow,
Yes,
that's
it's
a lot of
just
patience.
my favorite. My husband is like really, I guess he was shocked that I could, make it happen, but I've made
Hmm.
it happen with a lot of people. And it's scary to look at maybe, but I basically sit in the back with them and I try to control their body
Hmm.
physically and like trying to like relax them because they over controlling and because they don't
Right,
know
right,
how the
yeah.
balance feels like. And it takes like, a few lessons, but they get it, they get it done and people got the licenses and everything and super happy.
Wow.
So
So
that's
if they don't know how to ride, you will teach them how to ride on a motorcycle versus like giving them a bicycle and say learn how to ride a bicycle first and then get on a.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
I mean, it's
Wow.
kind of like you could be cheating a little bit with the motorcycle because you could help if you're not overdoing it, if you're not overcompensating with the gas, but you could help yourself with a little bit with the gas to
Right.
kind of
Right.
control that, balance if you know how to
Yep.
use it. But
Yep.
that's the thing. A lot of people are overcompensating with the gas.
Yep.
But
Nice. And then you're also doing a track day, which I've signed up for, so I'll be there on the 28th.
yes, I'm so
Um,
excited.
so yeah, so like you're doing track days as well. So let's talk about that a little bit, and um, how do you
We-
see things going? Oh, in the future.
I honestly, I don't like. I didn't plan to do the track days. I actually wanted to do it like way before, not before, but maybe like few years back. But the person, when I asked them like, oh, if like I see other people are organizing the track days, and I was not take like the person who I was asking, like the owner of the track, did not take me seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I actually want to do it not for myself, but for other people. And I like to host events, and like I'm very picky about things that I want to see at the events and how to organize it in that aspect. So I was kind of denied for the first time, and then for I guess I decided to try again as the
Mm-hmm.
same person, and they're like, okay, sure, like you could try it. So I tried it, and I think it was a success because from the people feedback, people were very happy. We didn't have any injuries or like falls at all at the track that day. And the big aspect of the track day for me to have a good team of coaches, of course,
Mm-hmm.
great support, especially for new riders. And I brought a lot of like rookies and novices, and we had a really good time, good atmosphere. Everybody's super friendly, super helpful, towards like other riders as well.
Mm-hmm.
you know TJ, great food, because food for me is a big deal. I can't eat any fast food while I'm riding, like it's just not gonna
Right.
happen.
Yeah. No, I hear you
So
there.
I was like, I need some healthy food choices. So that was kind of like, but that was my first track day at NYST, and my second one was also at NYST. Also, like we had a great time, and now I decided to go different level. And JP, I was like, I don't know what I'm signing up for in terms of like, I know it's like a big jump and very expensive, and I was very stressed and still are,
Gotcha.
but it's definitely like a challenge for me, and I like challenges, and I like to challenge myself, and like in whatever, like the experience I'm gonna get, it's still gonna be a learning experience. And it just I just hope that people gonna enjoy it. That's what I care.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
I
I
hope
like
you
that track
enjoy
a
it.
lot. Yeah, I should because I like that track a lot. And I did a California Superbike class there a few years back, and that was like the last time I was at the track. So I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, I won't have no anxiety, but I'm looking forward to going back to see how I do at the track. So and I've raced there with CCS and Azure and stuff like that. So.
So why you
Um,
have anxiety? Like you should be like Gucci.
Oh no! Well, it's more just I want to be as fast as I was a year and a half ago.
Well,
So
we
it's
all
like,
want to be fast. Yeah, everybody
we'll
wants
see.
to be fast.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like we'll see. It's been a while, but it took me a while to figure that track out. And after taking the class, just the carousel section always jacked me up. But now I feel pretty good about it. But we'll see. I'll be there. I'll be there in a couple of weeks. So
I'll see. I'm gonna be watching you.
there you go.
No
Yeah,
pressure. No pressure.
no pressure. I have a couple of bikes because I have a Panigale V4 out of 2025 model, and I've been getting a lot of flack for my
Mm.
photos because the chicken strips. So I got to take it on the track. So and I don't mess around on the streets. I ride like an old man on the street. So I don't like it's. And I live in Florida, so there's no corners where I live. So there's a couple of
Yeah, pretty
rotaries,
flat.
and that's it. So. But I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully I'll bring my KTM as well. So
So you said you live in
in
Fl-
Sarasota County, Florida.
how are you getting to the track then?
Oh, I'm driving next Thursday. Next Tuesday, I'm leaving. So next Tuesday, I'm leaving Sarasota. I'll
Wow.
get to Boston the following day. I'll work, and then I'll go to Loudon on Friday to do some testing. And then Saturday, I'm probably going to race at Loudon. We'll see.
Oh,
And then Sunday, I'm driving to Jersey, and then I'll be at Jersey. Yeah, I have an 18 by 8.5 trailer that I converted into a toy hauler. So I can tow full
nice.
bikes, shower, heat and AC, refrigerator, everything. So I can just sleep right
Nice.
in the thing. So
That's awesome. I
yeah,
only
so
have
it's,
I only have a camper van, so I'm not that fancy.
oh, a camper van is nice.
Not as nice as yours, like taking the like I had like a boiler and like the water tank, but taking the shower is basically like you hang it on the side and just like
uh,
take it right in front of everybody, and it's like I'm not that adventurous.
Gotcha. Yeah, I have an outdoor shower, but I have an indoor one too. so, so yeah. So, but that's like later. I mean, I've started out with an Audi wagon with a small 5x8 trailer, and then a 7x12, and then I finally got a 8.5 by 18. So it took a little while, but it does definitely help, and then I can just kind of work and do everything I need to do from it. So yeah, so I'm driving
Yeah.
up, and then I'll drive back after the track day, and come back this way. I might stop off in Atlanta for Moto America, but we'll see.
Awesome. That's a good planned planned trip.
Yeah, it's almost 2 weeks, but it should be fun, and I enjoy what I'm doing, and I wanted to come out to your thing and show some love and just kind of be part
No
of the.
judgment, no judgment. Don't put any pressure on me. I have enough pressure.
Oh, no pressure from me. No pressure from me at all. Because it should be a good time. And Track Stars, who's one of your coaches and comes on the show, and he's the one that told me about it. So I checked it out, and it
Awesome.
was just yeah, and it was just like, oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I'm going to be
Yeah.
up that way anyway. So yeah, so April 28th, anyone, if you're in Jersey, learn to ride.
Yes,
Um,
that's right
I
too.
I want to thank you for coming. Oh, let's talk about your social media, because as you say, your social media is different for folks who may not know who you are. Let's talk about your social media side and how you got into that, and that's flourishing from what I can tell.
Yeah, thank you. Trying to, but sometimes you don't have enough time to do everything. Because I work like every day. I have like basically I work like 6 days a week. Used to work 7 days a week. But now I'm trying to like force myself to have like days off. So I'm gonna go completely nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And I started like I think my social media picked up when I was in Texas. I lived in Texas for like a year, a little bit less than a year. I went to Moto GP as well. But I think that was the time because I was exploring on a motorcycle. I brought the motorcycle from New York to Texas. I was exploring Texas on the bike. That was fun. And I guess that was kind of like showing people the places that I went. It just kind of like started picking up from there. And then I came back to New York and just continued doing the same thing. And then I made the Instagram page for L2I2, the business page. And so yeah, so that's kind of like try to interact with, trying to like show that motorcycles are not as scary as people think. The
Right.
stereotype is not as, it's not true. It doesn't have to be scary if you have a good approach or like somebody to help you. And I have a lot of women that come to me because they see that I can handle it, so they definitely can handle it. And so I also have like this, a lot of guys as well. And sometimes I have to prove myself,
Mm-hmm.
but which is fun. But as long as they listen, I don't care. Like I could be like I could show them my Russian side if they really want to. but but yeah, it's been fun. Like I love social media. Sometimes it gets exhausting with like sometimes it could be unpleasant
Mm-hmm.
experiences also with people, as you get a lot of haters or people just need some attention seekers. I try to like help the motorcycle community, help the people in the motorcycle community as much because I also got a lot of support from you know um, the community as well. And I love my community, and it gave me a purpose, to have the business that I have. So
Nice.
that's kind of, I'm trying to kind of give it, back as well. So that's kind of where I am.
Nice. Well, I want to thank you for coming on and finding some time to come on. Oh, I do have one other question before I let you go. I assume you follow Moto GP, and who's going to win the title this year?
Um, I don't know. Like, I don't want to be that person. Like, because people have their own, yeah, I guess, opinions. I think Mark Marquez, probably.
Okay.
He's been a pretty aggressive rider through all the injuries and everything. I didn't used to like him as much as his kind of cocky attitude
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. I did like other riders more, and now Acosta as well is like, I think has kind of proven to have like a good potential as a younger rider as well. But I feel like Mark Marquez is like really killing it.
Yeah, well, he's definitely killing it, and we'll see. I'm hoping for someone else, but I'm sure Marquez is hoping that he wins it. But it's going to be a long season. But I just wanted to get your take.
Who you think is gonna win?
Um, I'm hoping it's Pecco. I'm hoping it's Pecco. I think he has a shot to beat Marquez, and he's already did that in Coda. You got to finish. So I know some people would say Marquez crashed out, but Pecco crashed out a lot last year, so that same, theory would apply to him winning the championship last year if he didn't crash out as much. And this year, he's already riding better than he did last year. So he's having one of the Pecco is having one of the best seasons right now. So it's a long season, and I think if he, whoever makes the fewest mistake is going to win. But I think Morbidelli has a shot as well. He's coming into his own on the Ducati. I think I'd probably say those guys. I'll throw Alex Marquez in there just to, but
I kind of like, I would want Alex to kind of come out of the shadow of his brother, because I feel like he deserves it, like not to be
right.
in the shadow.
Yep.
So I would be very happy for him if he could actually prove, and beat his brother.
Right. It's a weird thing because in the sense that I'm the youngest, so I guess I say it's a weird thing because usually younger brothers, a kid is always better than the older siblings in a sport or something, right? Because they're the youngest and they get to sit around and watch while the older siblings play. So the learning curve is a lot quicker because you see it all. So it's rare that the older brother is dominating in a sport and the younger brother isn't.
Yeah, I agree with you.
There you go. Well, Spicy, I want to thank you for coming on the show, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.